Greetings, peeps. Professor Hobo here, coming at you with a public service announcement today. I've been getting asked a lot of questions lately about which power station is the best, which solar panel should I get with it, is the Jackery better than the Bluetti, is it better than the Delta, is it better than A, B, C, or D? Because there's lots of options out there. A lot of you guys are scared, you're worried about the situation that's happening in the world right now. Is there a possibility that there might be a power down situation? Could the grid go down regionally or locally? So I did find some articles online from reputable sources that do talk about the possibility of the grid going down and what the power companies are doing to prepare for this. And some of it does sound kind of scary. Now, this isn't about sensationalism or trying to scare anybody into anything. But what I'm doing is I'm doing some research for you to show you guys that you really should be prepared for anything. It is possible at any time the sun could throw down a solar flare, knock down the power grid for days, weeks, or months at a time. And if you don't have a solar panel and a power station, you can forget about using your laptop, your cell phone, radios, TVs, refrigeration. All that's going to be gone for most of you. So I'm going to answer the question that I get the most. Which power station is the best? Which solar panel should I get with these power stations so that I could basically have power during a blackout or an off-grid situation? Now, these also apply to off-grid living. If you live in an RV or in a cabin, or you're an overlander, you go cross-country where there's no other people, all these devices I'm going to talk about are portable in most vehicles. You should be able to pack them up, put them in your vehicle, and you can go anywhere with them. So let's look at some of these articles together. So here's an article from the Energy and Environment News. It says here, so far, they don't see any substantial effect on the grid, but that could change. Of course, as more and more people get sick, this might become a big issue. So the virus is always taking a toll on power demand overseas, they say in Japan. And it says keeping the nation's grid running is a top priority at the Department of Energy, which of course it is. They know if the grid goes down how serious things get very quickly. Utility sector is juggling needs of its customers. Many major utilities across the nation are vowed to suspend shutoffs and keep power, heat, and water on for all customers, regardless if you pay your bill or not. So I guess this is a good time. If you don't want to pay your bills, you don't have to, and they won't cut you off. Now, I don't know what they're going to do after this is over. Are they going to make you pay that back in payments, or is there going to be some kind of forgiveness, or who knows? Now, it's from nuclear plants. It says they are testing people at the nuclear plants for the coronavirus. Each plant averages 500 to 1,000 workers, and while every position is essential to operations, some areas like the control room cannot be conducted remotely. So that means that these people get sick, and these are highly skilled workers that are trained for years. They go to college to learn how to do this stuff. They get sick, or they're replacements. Who knows? Okay, so here's an article from LA Times, how power companies are keeping your lights on during the pandemic. American Power Grid said they're prepared to keep the lights on as the pandemic spreads. The key reality is that many utility employees can't work from home. They need to be in the field, operating power plants, or repairing electric distribution lines. It looks like some power stations here are storing food and water on site for their employees in case they need to stay on site. Now, we're going to talk about that here in a moment. Now, here's where things get a little bit scary. National grid worker tests positive for coronavirus. Worker based in Massachusetts has confirmed case of the coronavirus. Now, they said the nature of the staff's work didn't put him in contact with the public, however, was in contact with other employees. So what does this mean? Now, if this person was at work for the 5 days it takes to notice the symptoms of the coronavirus, it's likely spread to the staff there. So we should be finding out. This article was March 18th. We should be finding out here in about a week or two whether more and more people at this plant got sick. Now here's something else, and I feel sorry for anybody who's working in the energy industry right now. U.S. power industry may ask key employees to live at work if coronavirus worsens. The U.S. electric industry may ask essential staff to live on site at power plants and control centers to keep operations running if the outbreak worsens. Has been stockpiling beds, blankets, food for them, according to the trade industry groups. So these people are planning to hunker down at the power station and basically quarantine themselves to keep the power on. Now, that's good and bad, because that's good because they're going to be there, they'll be able to work, but if they get terminally sick, who's going to replace them? And if one person gets sick, everybody who's staying there is going to get sick. So I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, but I certainly wouldn't want to be working at one of these power plants and be forced for the next couple of weeks to live in the office and not see your family and not be able to hang out with your kids and stuff like that. It must be very difficult for a lot of these people being told that you're going to have to live at work for the next couple of weeks. Here's some rations for you to eat, and here's some bottled water. Enjoy. Now, for those of you who don't believe that the coronavirus is going to get that bad, it's not going to make a lot of people at work at power stations sick, and there's no chance at all that the grid won't go down regionally or locally. Here's an article from the USGS that says, new geoelectric hazard map shows potential vulnerability to high voltage power grid for 2/3 of the United States. Now, basically, what this article is saying is that if there is a geomagnetic superstorm, in other words, a big solar flare, and they shoot by Earth all the time, probably every couple of years, there's a big one that just blows by Earth and doesn't hit us. Ones that are big enough that it could knock out power locally, regionally, or even globally. There was one that we missed, I think it was somewhere around 10 years ago. They said if it would have hit, it would have blacked out half the world. And we got lucky that it blew by us. And these things happen all the time. It just, space is very big. We're always moving, the Earth's moving around the sun. Usually the flares are nowhere near us. They shoot out in all different directions, all around the orbit. For it to actually hit us, it's a very, very small percentage. However, it has happened before, and it will happen again. This map's pretty scary. It says, you see anything up here that's in the yellow are super highly vulnerable to solar flares. Now, the bottom part of this looks dark. It's like, oh, hey, anybody in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico is safe. No, that's not the case. If you read this article, it tells you that they have not completed the survey for the rest of the country, I think basically because they ran out of funding. So they're waiting for funding to complete the survey for the southern part of the U.S. Now, I expect California is going to be bright yellow, because California can barely keep their power on during a normal summer, let alone a situation where there might be a disruption in the grid, either caused by a solar flare or by workers getting sick from a pandemic. So, how impossible is it that the grid could go down? It's not impossible at all. It's actually going to happen someday. Someday, maybe not in our lifetimes, but someday the U.S. grid's going to go down, and it's going to cause all kinds of major problems. A lot of people are going to die. It's going to be very, very bad. Now, a lot of you have already seen things like Katrina, where the power was out for days or weeks, and they couldn't get supplies in. Nobody could get gasoline. Electricity was off. People were dying left and right. That was on a small scale. So this isn't supposed to be sensationalism or scare tactics, but we've all seen what can happen lately when the public panics. Imagine if we find out in a week or two that one company worker at that power plant had already transmitted the virus to dozens of other employees. How quickly do you think there would be a panic among power workers across the country? Is it possible that enough workers would stop showing up for work that our power grid could actually go down, at least locally or regionally? All it takes is one power plant to go down, and that could affect an entire state. Also, note that hurricane and wildfire seasons begin soon. What happens if there's a regional disaster like a Category 4 hurricane or a massive wildfire at the same time this pandemic is hitting? Do you think we might have regional blackouts then? Some of you might be saying, oh, so what if the power goes out for a few days? Most of the country has a backup system in place to survive 48 to 72 hours without power. It's when the power is out more than 2 or 3 days is when there are serious consequences. First, when there's no power, there's no gasoline pumps. The pumps stop pumping gasoline. So what you have in your gas tanks is all that you have until the power returns. This also affects local trucking, which also affects deliveries of goods. Now, it's not going to affect long-haul, over-the-road truckers that are going interstates because they have giant diesel tanks and they can fill up anywhere. But if there's a local, regional issue with power, local deliveries are pretty much going to grind to a halt. Next, refrigeration fails. If you've ever been to a supermarket that had a power outage for a couple days, half the food gets destroyed. It's gone. As soon as those freezers shut down, that food is ruined. They have to throw it out, and then the shelves are empty until the power comes back on. Now, that's not an issue for those of us that already live off the grid and they either have 12-volt solar-powered refrigerators or propane refrigeration. Most of us in the RV community, we run on propane. But it does affect the local grocers who can't stock any perishable goods. If the gas pumps are down, will you risk using the last of your gasoline to drive to the nearest city where you can do any shopping? What about the thousands of other people who have the same idea? What if you drive 100 miles to the next big store to get food and they're wiped out because that's everybody else wanted to do? We've seen this here in Tucson. Just because of a pandemic, people were scared. We went to several different Walmarts and Costco, and there's not a single roll of toilet paper or paper towels. A lot of the meat sections in most of the Walmarts are wiped out. You can't find any cleaning supplies. There's no spaghetti. There's no rice. There's no beans. All that stuff is wiped out, and that's just because people have a little bit of a panic. Could you imagine if the power went out? How much more would people panic? Especially in a situation where there's a pandemic and nobody wants to touch each other or talk to each other. We're all doing this social distancing. Now, cell phone towers. We always forget that cell phone towers don't have unlimited power. Lots of these cell phone towers are way up on hillsides. A lot of them are connected to the grid. Some of them have solar power, and most of them, if not all of them, have backup generators. What happens when the fuel runs out for those generators? Power's out for a week, those cell phone towers stop working. That means your cell phone is now 100% useless because you can't get online to do anything. You can't make any phone calls. Whatever bandwidth or communication that's available is going to be set aside for local fire, police, and government. So here you are, a week into the blackout. You have no fuel for transportation, no refrigeration, no fresh perishable goods, no communication with the outside world. Red Cross might move in and help. You have to assume that if you're in a larger city, they're not going to be able to help everybody. And if you're doing this during a pandemic, a lot of the Red Cross workers who are volunteers may decide not to show up because they're afraid to get the virus. So there may just not be enough manpower to help everybody, especially if you're in a larger town or city. Local water towers. Those big towers that you see in most towns and cities around the country, those are filled up by electric water pumps. Give it enough time, those water pumps stop working, and then sewage plants stop running. So give it a couple of weeks, those water towers are empty, and then your sewage starts backing up. Although it's very likely that even in a regional situation, the power grid would probably come back up before that got that serious. And this is why I feel you need to be self-sufficient in times like these. Don't expect government or anybody else to help you out. You are responsible for yourself and your family's safety and comfort during a situation like this. Prepare for regional shortages of food, power, fuel, and other necessities. Have a way to communicate with your family members that doesn't use a cell phone. Use a GMRS radio or a CB or shortwave. You have lots of mobile radio options. You should always have a way to communicate with your family. I carry a pair of GMRS radios so that me and Heidi can talk back and forth, whether we're off grid and we're out of cell phone towers, or if the cell phone towers would go down and we need to be separated, we can talk using these radios, which I have rechargeable batteries in. It's very important to have a way to power your devices off the grid. Get a power station, buy a solar panel or two, learn how to hook them up. Get a small portable generator and a 5-gallon can of gas. Keep a refrigerator or freezer going. Be able to power a laptop, a radio, or TV for entertainment. Entertainment is very important. As you guys know right now, you're probably all swarming to YouTube and Netflix and Amazon Prime Video and stuff to entertain yourself while everyone sits at home waiting for this thing to pass. You also need to be aware of your local news. So you need to have a TV or a radio or something like that so you can pay attention to what the authorities are telling you. Now, all these things require electricity. And if the power's been down for days, your devices are going to die. You need some way to keep them charged. Especially so if you use a CPAP or BiPAP machine to help you sleep, you definitely want to have a sizable battery backup available that you can charge with solar so that you can have restful night's sleep. Everybody should have a way to have at least enough power to keep your basic life necessities going for at least a week. So what should you buy? Let's go over some of the all-in-one solutions. I'll break this down into 3 types of budgets. I'm not going to go over DIY solutions because the vast majority of viewers who are watching this, they want something that's simple, that they can plug in and use it right away. It's got a warranty. If there's a problem, they can send it back. It's something they want to be able to use tomorrow in case this situation gets worse. Also, most DIY solutions, while they may or may not be cheaper in some cases, they're not usually very portable. They're usually like hobbed together with, no case. They're just cables running back and forth to batteries and solar panels and inverters in different places. That's not very portable. You want to maintain portability in a situation like this because you never know if you're going to run into a quarantine situation, or if there's a local forest fire or something that makes you move to a different location. You want to be able to take your power solution with you. All these solutions that I'm about to give you will fit into the average trunk of the average mid-size family car. Now first, before we go into the off-grid power solutions, I recommend everybody watching, if you don't have a propane refrigerator or a 12-volt compressor refrigerator, you should seriously consider investing in one. Because in an off-grid or power-down situation, a 12-volt refrigerator or a propane refrigerator, which pretty much uses no power, can keep your stuff cold for weeks and sometimes indefinitely. If you have enough solar and a big enough power station and a sizable 12-volt compressor refrigerator, you can run it indefinitely and keep your meat frozen. Most of these have a deep freeze mode. You can keep your meats frozen, you can keep your fresh produce in there, you can keep your cheese and your dairy and stuff all refrigerated indefinitely. And that's very important if you're in a long-term grid down or power outage situation. Now, most of us that live in RVs, we have propane refrigerators, so as long as there's a propane supply available, and a lot of the local propane fillers don't really need power to pump propane. Some of the new ones have digital stuff on them, but the older ones are all mechanical. They should be able to keep pumping out propane until those tanks are empty, even without grid power. Alternatively, instead of investing $500 or $600 in one of those portable refrigerators, you can just buy maybe like a $500 generator, gasoline or propane generator, and use that to keep your residential refrigerator or your freezer running during a power outage. Now, there's a big problem with that because a very large portion of the country lives in apartments or condos or townhomes, or they don't have any kind of yard. Your house, you can touch the house of your neighbor. I lived in plenty of places like that where everybody's up in your face anytime you do anything on your back porch. So if you're out there running a generator 24/7, you're going to get a lot of negative attention. Your neighbors are going to know that you have power, you have gasoline, and you probably have food inside. Now, unless you have enough to share with everybody in your neighborhood, you're going to become very popular very fast. Gas generators, they also require storing fuel. So you have to store propane or gasoline to make them run. And once that runs out, you're done, right? Because if the power grid is down, you're not going to get any more fuel. So these solutions that I'm providing, they're all silent, they're all off-grid, they're all solar powered. So you don't have to worry about storing gasoline, propane, or diesel or something like that for a generator. I'm not saying there's no place for a generator. Everybody should have a generator. Everybody in this country should own at least a small generator. Now, some of you are going to be like, I don't need a backup solution because I got solar panels on my roof. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but almost all residential installations in this country, unless you've done it yourself, if you've hired a contractor to do it, almost all of them are grid tie. So that means your solar panels send power directly to the grid. They don't get stored in batteries or locally at your house. The power comes through the solar panels, goes right to your grid, and you get credit for that. You're actually still using power from the grid to power your house, but you're getting a financial credit for it. So you're getting the power generally for free. Now, the problem is, if the grid goes down, those solar panels have nowhere to send the power. And unless you have a special inverter that you can switch over, and Will Prowse has actually talked about this on his channel, if you have a special inverter you can switch over, you can use the solar panels to directly power your house during the daytime. What are you going to do at night? You better have some batteries or some generator or some other way to power at night, because you still need to run your refrigerators. And there's other things in your house, your CPAP machines. Well, how are you going to watch TV at night? Stuff like that. You still need to have power at night. So even if you do have an inverter that allows you to run the solar panels and send the power to your house directly, you have no solution for nighttime. So what's the best solution for most? A portable power station with portable solar panels. Let's take a look at what the best choice is for budgets under $500. You're not going to be able to power a lot of stuff in this category, but everything in here has a 12-volt regulated output, which means all of these power stations will power a small 12-volt compressor refrigerator, at least overnight. And that's what you want. You want to get something that has a 12-volt regulated output so that you can run a refrigerator. All of these that I'm about to talk about have a 12-volt regulated output. Now, I know there's not very many on the market, so there's not a lot of choices, but I'm going to teach you guys who don't know anything about these generators which ones you should pick for a power outage grid down scenario. Now, for the sub $500 category, there's really only one option. That's the $259 Honda 290 by Jackery. Now, you can get the Explorer 240, but the battery's a little bit smaller, and you can get that for $212. Now, you could possibly buy 2 of those and then add some solar panels to it, but I'm recommending the Honda 290 because they have it on a pretty good deal right now for $259, and you can pair that with their $179 Jackery Solar Saga 60-watt panel. This is an instant plug-and-play solution. You don't need any adapters, nothing special. The solar panels are very good. Jackery solar panels are some of the best I've ever seen. And yes, they're a little more expensive, but for the Honda 290, you only need the 60-watt panel to charge it, and that combo will charge it in about 7 hours. Now, you can also get the BOUGERV 100-watt folding solar panel, but that's currently out of stock. You get that for $135. That would work too with the Jackery. You can also get the Rockpal's 80-watt folding panel for about the same price. You do have options besides the Jackery panel. The Rockpal's 80-watt or the BOUGERV's 100-watt will both work and keep your budget under $500. Now, in the sub $1,000 category, you simply can't beat the new Jackery Explorer 1000 for $799. It's really, you can't beat that price. You can pair it with a $135 BOUGERV's 100-watt folding solar panel to keep the price under $1,000. Or you can pair it with the Suoki or Rockpal's 100-watt solar panels for just a hair over $1,000. And if you have a little more space, you can get 2 of the Windy Nation 100-watt flex panels and run them in parallel for about $1,016. However, with this combo, you will need to buy an MC4 to Anderson adapter, and those are just a couple bucks, like $10. So you could actually still do this combo for about $1,025. Now, this combo will charge in about 12 hours with a 100-watt panel or about 8 hours with a 200-watt. Now, the problem as of the recording of this video is that the Explorer 1000 is sold out. I don't know when they're going to get more back in stock. But when it does come back in stock, that is going to be the top choice for the sub $1,000 category. As a secondary choice, you can get the Jackery Explorer 500 and pair that with a Solar Saga 100 panel and still have some money left over. But again, as of the recording of this video, the Solar Saga 100 solar panels sold out. So as an alternative option, you can get any of the folding 100-watt panels that I talked about before, the BOUGERV's or the Suoki. The BOUGERV's is out of stock right now. That's the cheap one. The Suoki and the Rockpal's are a little more expensive, but they also do the job as well. The downside to the Explorer 500 is that the battery inverter size really aren't going to work for larger appliances. Don't expect to run a coffee machine or a residential refrigerator or an air conditioner on a Jackery Explorer 500. The Explorer 500 will charge in about 6 hours from 100 watts of solar. Now, in the sub $1,500 category, you generally have 2 choices. Either can easily run a residential refrigerator or a small room AC, drip coffee makers and stuff for several hours during a blackout, and can run a 12-volt refrigerator for several days before you need to charge it. These are also a good size to charge your laptop or run your big screen television. The first choice is going to be the MAXOAK BLUETTI EB150, otherwise known as the 1500 watt-hour portable power station. It can charge quickly. With up to 500 watts of solar, it has a 1,000-watt pure sine inverter, so it runs most of the stuff you're going to need. Currently, it's at $11.09 with discounts. Now, you want to know how I got that number? You got to go to the website, hobotech.tv/Amazon, go down to power generation. I have a coupon code there, and also there's a coupon on Amazon. So you have to use both of these to get that $11.09 price, and that sometimes changes, but as the recording of this video, it's $11.09 right now. That's a lot of bang for the buck. For solar, you can run a pair of any of the before mentioned solar panels. You can also run 4 BOUGERV 50-watt flex panels. Now, they're pretty small, so you can just stack them up and put them in your trunk or whatever. They're relatively inexpensive. You get 4 of those, put them in a series parallel for 200 watts of solar for only 288 bucks. At 200 watts, that Bluetti can charge in about 9.5 hours, and at 300 watts, it'll charge in about 6 hours. Second choice in this category is the Suoki G1000. That's a 1200 watt hour portable power station. This one uses very long life lithium iron phosphate batteries and has a built-in AC charger, basically like a built-in AC power supply. It's designed to be left plugged into the wall at all times. So if the power goes out, your devices are automatically powered by the inverter USB ports, from the battery inside. It's a very cool setup. It's kind of like a UPS device. The downside of the Suoki is its weight. The thing weighs around 50 pounds. It's not really the most luggable unit. It can only accept 200 watts of solar in series, and that's a little bit of a problem because it will take about 7.5 hours to charge from sun. Now, I charge mine almost all the time from 2 100 watt panels that I lay outside, and I use it generally to power my computer, my monitor, and charge my USB devices like my phones and tablets. And 200 watts is no problem to charge it back up to full every single day. And for those solar panels, you can use anything mentioned before, the Boden, Suoki, you can get the Jackery panels if you want to spend more money. You can even put a couple of the Windy Nation 100 watt flex panels together for that, and it'll accept them just fine. It can do a 40, 45, or 46 volts, I think, on the input. And I did a review on it if you want to see all the specifics. Now, I would have added the EcoFlow Delta 1300 to this category. However, the unit is currently sold out everywhere, and I've been able to reach anybody at EcoFlow to find out what the heck's going on. I've been trying to get it, talk to somebody there, find out when it's back in stock, if I can get a code for you guys to give you guys a discount. I've been trying for about 10 days and I haven't heard a word from them. They are based in China, so maybe they all went home. I don't know. I'm going to keep trying. I have played with the unit. I do have one. It's very impressive. It's very cool, but I've yet to fully test it and do a review on it. So because of those two problems, I can't recommend it at this time. Now, for those of you who want the biggest, baddest setup on the block and are willing to pay for it, here's a bonus. Now, for under 2,000 bucks, there's a new kit on the block. It's the MAXOAK BLUETTI 2400 watt hour power station. It's the EB240. This is an update to the MAXOAK BLUETTI 1500 watt hour in 2 ways. First, the larger battery. Second, it'll actually accept up to 67 volts input. So you can put 3 solar panels in series and then add 3 more in parallel. So you can actually put 600 watts of solar into the thing and charge it in under 5 hours. Now, I do have one. I've been playing with it for quite a while. I haven't finished the review on it yet, but it's very promising. It's just as good quality as its little brother. I have confirmed it does accept 67 volts. I tested it myself, so I know it'll accept 3 solar panels in series. But I feel very confident that I could recommend the EB240 power station because it's pretty much identical to the MAXOAK BLUETTI 1500, and I've been using the crap out of that thing for the last 6 months. Now, currently the BLUETTI 2400 or the EB240 is going for $16.99 after discounts. Now, that sounds like a lot of money, but you're getting the equivalent of 2 Battleborn batteries in a package with a handle on it. This is actually as much power as 2 Battleborns. So think about that. That's more than what most people have in their RVs. And it's an all-in-one unit. It's got the solar controller built in. It's got the pure sine inverter built in. It's got a nice display. It's got quick charging ports. It's pretty much got it all. It's got that regulated 12-volt output too, which is regulated at 12.1 volts. It's a little low, but it's regulated and it'll run a refrigerator just fine. So if you want to get the current price and the current coupon codes for the BLUETTI 2400, since I haven't reviewed it yet, there's no video out on it, you need to go to hobotech.tv/Amazon, click on the power generator button, and that will scroll you down to the power generation section where I have all these solar generators down there. And you can see the code down there for the BLUETTI 1500 and the BLUETTI 2400. Now, while you can theoretically charge the 2400 from a measly 100 watts of solar, I'm going to recommend 300 watts of solar because the battery is so huge. You really need to be able to charge it in less than 8 hours if you want to charge it, with solar in one day. But in order to get 300 watts, you're going to have to go over that $2,000 a little bit. The least expensive option is 3 of the 100 watt Windy Nation flex panels. You can get those for $349. And if you need more portability, you can actually get 6 of those BOUGERV 50-watt flex panels I was talking about earlier, and put 3 in series and 3 in parallel, hook those together, and that will give you 300 watts. Now those will cost you about $432. You can also get 3 of the boat ends 100-watt folding panels for about $400, but they're out of stock until April. So if you're watching this video middle to the end of April and you see the boat ends 100-watt portable panel back in stock, get 3 of those, and that would really rock this power station for under $400. So there are my recommendations. Which is better? Depends on your needs. That's what I tell everybody who asks me. I get this question almost every day, which one should I pick? Depends on your needs. All these combos will keep you going in a blackout scenario. All of them will charge laptops, phones, tablets, and radios. All will run a 12-volt compressor refrigerator or a CPAP machine overnight. Now, the larger models, the over $1,000 models, will run your big screen TV and most small kitchen appliances, including the coffee makers. If you have an 800-watt or smaller microwave oven or a 6-quart or smaller Instant Pot, the JACKERY 1000, both BLUETTI models, and the SHTF can handle it. If you only need the bare essentials, like you just want to charge up a small laptop or a tablet, a phone, or you want to do like a small 12-volt fridge or a small CPAP machine without the heater or anything on it, you can still do the sub $500 JACKERY Honda 290, and that might work for you. I think most of you are going to want the JACKERY Explorer 1000 or the BLUETTI 1500 in a longer-term scenario where the power might be out for several days or even a few weeks. Because the bigger battery, it allows you to run longer, and you don't have to charge it all the way down. Here's the thing, it's actually better and better life for your device if you don't use the whole thing. So buy bigger than what you need and only discharge it halfway. Then those charge times I told you will be cut in half. Instead of 6 hours to recharge it, it's only 3 hours. And just about anywhere in the country, unless it's a thunderstorm day or like super overcast, you'll be able to recharge it in 3 hours with solar. And remember, all these options are portable, meaning you can put them in your vehicle and take them camping. You can provide power to a friend, a family member, or a neighbor that needs it. Sometimes you need to move. Sometimes the police or fire is going to come in and tell you, you got to go. There's a fire coming. There's some kind of chemical plant disaster. You may need to move. So having a portable power solution will let you can take off the BLM, go camp in the woods, go stay at a friend's. They might not have power either, but could be prepared. Now, all products today can be found on my website, hobotech.tv/Amazon. I recently did some reorganization of that page, so now there are little hot links at the top you can click on. It'll just automatically take you down to the section that you need. Then there's a green arrow on the side of the screen. It'll take you back to the top of the page. So I've made navigation a lot easier. So if you're looking for these power generators, you click on power generation. When you go to that website, it'll scroll you down. You can see all the non-JACKERY items. If you want to see the JACKERY power stations, click on the JACKERY link. It'll take you to their own section. I got my own section there for JACKERY. All the promotional code and coupon codes are there. So use those links to get you to Amazon. And then when you go to checkout, this is important. Checkout, you go to the promo code box and you type that code in, and it should apply that discount. Don't forget, a lot of these products also have Amazon coupons. That's different than the promo code. The coupon is a little checkbox that you check under the price of the item. It'll say like $30 off or 10% off. You click that box first, add it to your cart. And when you go to checkout, put the promo code in and click buy. That's how you handle if you have the coupon and the discount code. Now, I have to say this because I get flamed all the time. This video will come out 3 days later, the prices will change, and people come yelling at me. It's no longer $100 off, it's now $20 off. I don't have any control over these companies and what they do. They're constantly changing their prices. What I'm talking about today may change by the time this video comes out. Just be aware, things change in the future. So if these items are sold out, just go to my website, hobotech.tv/Amazon. I usually have alternative products there. There's other power stations with other solar panels around in the same range. Just remember that most of those do not have a 12-volt regulated output like all the ones I mentioned in this video. So if you're trying to run a 12-volt fridge, you really don't want to do it on one of those other power stations. Thanks for watching. If you learned something today, don't forget to give me a thumbs up below. And if you're not a subscriber already, you know what to do. That's it for now. Till next time.
commands you to like and subscribe. And clean my litter box.
See, Odin hasn't been on camera for a long time. He's had some allergies. He's been sneezing. Yeah. Oh yeah, you like my gloves, huh? They taste good? Yeah. He's been sneezy. He's been sneezy, but he's feeling a little bit better. Also, I have some news. My van broke down. I'm going to be doing a video about that soon, so stay tuned. Hey, thank you for watching our video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe, share, and like. And we'll see you guys next time. Say hi, Odin.
RV Golf Guy, Pat.